I still can't describe that morning properly. I was just doing what I always do. Sitting, drinking coffee, and a split second before that first sip, bam. My mug slipped. Coffee splashed across the table, the paper, my shirt. Huh. Black. Aggressive. And I didn't move. Just stared. Senator's secret romance exposed. Right there. Front page. Her photo. Layla. My wife. My partner for 14 years. The poster child for family values. And beside her, that smug little media parasite, Christopher. I froze. Coffee soaked through my shirt, but I felt nothing. Just this aching pressure in my chest. My heart clenched. My head buzzed. No warning. No phone call. No confession. Just some tabloid expose dissecting our entire marriage like a crime scene. And that low-rent journalistic wannabe? The same guy she hired in 2016 to be her director of communications. Communications? Yeah, he nailed that, especially between sheets. The affair started almost instantly. While I was still picking out anniversary cards, she was playing house behind Senate doors. She'd go on television preaching about the sanctity of marriage, how family is the backbone of our nation, while doing everything in her power to tear ours apart. She barely came home. Her answers were vague. Her smiles? Scripted. And I was just background noise. You know those times you feel something's off, but convince yourself you're just being paranoid? That was me. For years. The trips home got shorter. Her laugh? Hollow. Her schedule? Unrelenting. Her eyes? They weren't looking at me. They were staring past me, like I was furniture. I wanted to believe it was just work stress. It was worse. October 2017 changed everything. We were supposed to attend a charity event. She bailed. Obligations, she said. But guess who showed up? Christopher. Alone. Slick suit. Imported wine. Leaning against the refreshment table like he owned the damn place. I approached. Whatever you think you're hiding, it's not hidden from me. He stumbled, tried to smile. Nervous. Rookie mistake. I think you're misinterpreting. Cut the act. She lies. You enable. That wiped the smirk off his face. He froze, deer in headlights. Mouth half open like he'd lost the script. I walked out, because if I'd stayed another minute, I might have ended up on a police blotter. 4 months later, February 7th, 2018, the entire country caught up. Headlines, interviews, memes, endless analysis. I sat there, drowning in it all, and the most shocking part wasn't even the betrayal. It was the precision. This wasn't just cheating. It was engineered deception. Quiet staff transfers, bloated salaries, job titles with no offices. It was a full-blown infrastructure built to shield their affair from scrutiny. Christopher got shuffled between Senate offices, no announcements, no public record. Just paperwork that looked bureaucratic but was anything but. She kept her title, her influence, and worst of all, him, always nearby, close enough to keep their arrangement intact, distant enough to appease the press. I used to think she was careful. Turns out, she was surgical. I looked at those headlines, at her speeches, at the fake sincerity and polished performance. And all I could think was, who turns loyalty into a weapon? Who turns a marriage into a marketing tool? Answer, her. And what happened next? I wasn't ready for it. Neither was she. You hear about Layla's side piece? Got another raise. He said it like he was telling me a dirty joke. Faculty lounge. Stale coffee. That smug little half grin that people wear when they know they've hit a nerve. I just stared back, because I already knew. April 2017. Christopher's first mysterious little transfer. No job posting. No competition. Just a memo floating through the Senate halls. Reassigned to avoid conflict of interest. Yeah, what they really meant. Let's tidy up the affair before anyone notices the lipstick on the budget. He was moved under Senator Reynolds. New office. New title. Fat new salary. $180,000. Still in the Capitol. Still circling Layla like she was the sun and he was her favorite satellite. They thought the whispers would satisfy people. Comms restructuring. Temporary placement. Just interoffice logistics. That kind of bureaucratic fog that makes everyone feel too polite to pry deeper. Meanwhile, Layla changed. That summer, her voice went flat. Mechanical. Every call was like dialing into a pre-recorded ad. I'm swamped. Can't talk. I'll visit next week. Spoiler, she didn't. I started writing things down. Not because I thought I'd turn into some private investigator, but because I needed to prove to myself that I wasn't going crazy. Departure times. Arrival inconsistencies. Late-night missed calls. Just tallying the emotional erosion one spreadsheet row at a time. Then came the second transfer. End of 2017. No news. No announcement. Christopher just quietly disappeared from one office and popped up in another like Senate musical chairs. Always close enough to whisper sweet lies, never close enough to get caught. Layla stopped calling entirely. Thanksgiving she showed up, all fake warmth and glossy campaign smile. Slept on the outermost edge of the bed like proximity was poisonous. Her phone was always on silent. Never locked. That was new. Layla used to guard her phone like it held nuclear codes. I asked her one night quietly, "Are you happy?" She didn't even glance up. "I'm tired." That's not what I asked. She gave no response. Just stared at her screen, hypnotized, like it had more meaning than anything we'd built. Then February exploded like a political hand grenade. The press pounced. Leaks. Leaked hotel receipts. A chunk of bookings that didn't match any official travel logs. Expense reports written in disappearing ink. It wasn't sloppy. It was surgical. I realized then, the transfers weren't cover-ups. They were freaking framework. This wasn't a fling. It was franchised adultery. Then the paper trail dropped. Internal documentation, signed by her chief of staff, approving Christopher's shift. 2 weeks later, that chief of staff resigned. No press statement. No photo op. Just vanished. Word started slipping through cracks. One staffer said she walked in on Layla getting a back massage from her golden-haired communications consultant behind a locked door. Another admitted they were told not to calendar them together, even for events both were attending. No one said affair. They didn't have to. The silence screamed. And then came the dagger. I was cleaning up. Found an old book I'd given her on our 8th anniversary. She said it made her feel seen. Tucked inside was a folded receipt. For words, scribbled in her handwriting. He gets me. Finally. No name. No date. Just the kind of gut punch you don't recover from. It cracked something in me. Because betrayal doesn't arrive with fireworks. It leaks into your life, slowly. Through shorter hugs. Forgotten birthdays. Sudden passcodes. The quiet moments when someone you love smiles in a way you've never seen, and you realize it's not meant for you anymore. Days before the story broke, I got a call from someone I hadn't heard from in years. They said, "She's already denied it 3 times. She's scrambling. Scrambling over what? You'll see soon enough." I did. We all did. Because it wasn't just emotional carnage. It was a procedural collapse. And the fallout wasn't hers alone anymore. "You destroyed our home. And you know it." I said it loud. No whisper. No subtlety. It was some high-end fundraiser in Lincoln. String lights overhead, craft beers in hand, everyone's smiles stapled to their faces like branding. He turned. Christopher. Button-up gel, practiced. Like his jaw was half-posed for a smirk, assuming charm would defuse whatever I was about to say. It didn't. His eyes stuttered. Couldn't speak right away. And around us? Silence. You could hear the air thickening. I think you've misunderstood. Don't act like you didn't know. You were there every moment she wasn't. The mask fell. Not just his, everyone's. All the fake chuckles and polite nods, and surely not as collapsed. No one laughed. No one moved. That room became a courtroom. 3 months before that, I was still trying to decode her absences in the dark. Why did homecomings feel like layovers? Why did her hugs feel rehearsed? Why did her lies sound more familiar than her truths? She'd sit across from me like I was a voter, not a husband. Rattle off lines like, "My schedule's a mess. I'm shuttling between districts." Don't dramatize. It wasn't the content. It was the cadence. Political. Hollow. Like she was reciting a campaign stump that used to mean something but didn't anymore. By October, it added up. She wasn't just absent. She was occupied. By him. By a life I wasn't in anymore. That public blow-up? It wasn't about drama. It was about survival. Dragging my shame out of storage and throwing it into the light where it belonged. People called it messy, loud, uncalled for. Good. This wasn't a neat breakup. This was emotional arson. After that, there was no pretending left to do. December came. She didn't move out, not officially. She just stopped coming home. Walked out of our house like it was another campaign stop she'd finished. No post, no note, no closure. And then February 7th happened. I went on live TV, my face blasted under studio lights on our party's own network. No speech, no script, just air and heartbreak. My wife had an affair. I feel betrayed, lied to, humiliated. That clip went viral, but the silence after wasn't relief. It was an explosion in slow motion. She kept showing up at rallies, still polished, still smiling, still selling the image. But now, everyone knew. Every handshake looked rehearsed. Every grin looked armed. I wasn't in the frame anymore, I told a reporter. I was just another retired prop. Her campaign scrambled. Press lockdown. Interns whispered. One leaked an internal memo. Stick to the message. This is personal, not professional. Too late. The second her personal rearranged taxpayer payrolls, it stopped being private. It became structural. By the end of 2017, we weren't separated. We were erased. No divorce papers yet. But she was living with him. No apologies. No explanations. Just swap me out like a faulty cable. I didn't get a breakup text. I got a deadbolt and an echo. And here's what no one tells you about being the betrayed husband. Everyone assumes you're broken. But they don't see the strength it takes not to blow up every lie with receipts and rage. Journalists asked me what I wanted. Closure? Revenge? Justice? None of that. I just wanted the truth to quit wearing makeup. 24 years. She kissed me on our anniversary while probably texting him between speeches. She quoted scripture about loyalty while shoving hotel receipts into her drawer. She let me believe I was the one who drifted. Let me internalize the wreckage. Truth is, she moved on. She just forgot to mention it to the voters. And that public meltdown they all watched, that wasn't collapse. That was me pulling the fire alarm on a house already engulfed. She kept the lie alive, smiling on camera, marching in parades, pretending. And the Senate? Silent. But silence doesn't last. Not when the money trails don't match the paper ones. Not when your personal life becomes a matter of federal ethics. Not when your husband, me, becomes a hashtag for every scripted smile she ever sold. Because what happened next? It didn't just change the headlines. It rewrote the entire playbook. I watched her apology on mute. Didn't need the sound. I already knew the lines. I'd lived through them, in reverse. She stood at the podium, spine ramrod straight, face stiff with control. Eyes locked ahead like she was delivering eulogy for someone else's mistake. I hurt my husband. I hurt my family. And I'm sorry. February 23rd, 2018. 7 minutes long. 7 minutes to wrap 24 years of betrayal into a palatable press snack. It wasn't remorse. It was a strategy. The media called it brave. Measured. Grace under fire. I called it cosmetic CPR on a political corpse. She didn't cry. Of course not. She spoke like someone who practiced guilt in front of her bathroom mirror until it felt photogenic. She stepped down from the Agriculture Committee, not the Senate. Still in office. Still clinging to the edge like a spider on glass. They called it accountability. I called it insulation. Thin and intentional. The headlines were brutal, almost poetic. $180,000 and a lie. Scandal exposes hypocrisy at heart of power. Inside the Capitol, everything shifted. February 15th, before her apology, a new rule quietly slid into existence. The Harper Rule. No more sleeping with subordinates. They literally named it after her. A legislative slap designed to prevent future copycats. Her name became law. And yet, she stayed. Still smiling. Still silent. Still visible. Carefully, tactically, haunting the edges of relevancy. What do you call a public fall when the person never steps off stage? Rebranding. But this time, it didn't work. Because for the first time since this mess began, the narrative wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. The press turned their attention, not to her image, but to the mechanics behind it. The transfers. the reimbursements, the gaping timeline, and what they found. Holes. Too many. So she cut a check. 10 grand. Made it out to the Treasury. Her statement of accountability to taxpayers. Sure, it was damage control, performance art with a price tag. A PR Band-Aid on a wound that never scabbed over. The voters didn't forget. Neither did I. She was quietly replaced on the committee by Senator Jane Collins. Boring, stable, decent. The party breathed like it had just disarmed a bomb. Layla faded from prime time, but she didn't vanish. She just retreated, hovered, waited for the storm to cool. But here's where it turned, not louder but crueler. Because after the cameras turned off, after the press left, there was a moment. Not televised, not reported. Just her and me. A hallway. No lights. No mics. Just two ghosts pretending we were once real. She looked at me with this distant softness, like someone trying to remember how love used to feel. I didn't mean for it to end like this. I just stared, let the words sit there and curdle. You meant for it to go undetected. She nodded. One slow motion. No denial. Then, quieter, like peeling old wallpaper. He made me feel less alone. It wasn't honesty. It was deflection dressed in nostalgia. I almost laughed. You rewrote Senate ethics. I said, most people just wreck a marriage. You managed to wreck procedure. She looked down, finally cracked. Not for me, for her. Because that was the reveal. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry the spotlight turned on. The next morning, a blogger went nuclear. Screenshotted her old campaign slogans. Family first. Integrity over ambition. Public trust is personal. The internet ate them alive. But the Senate? Still quiet. Still pretending the Harper rule sealed the leak. It didn't. Because there was still one piece left. The one thing nobody had seen. The last thread in the tangled mess of money, deceit, and silence. And when it came out, it wouldn't be her name people remembered. It'd be mine. Thought it was over. Then they turned it into entertainment. $100,000. Paid out for a televised special, regional primetime. June 3rd, 2018. Her and Christopher side by side like the result of a casting call. Matching blazers. Matching egos. Layla said human. He said journey. What I heard. This is what betrayal looks like with corporate backing. I didn't watch it live. Didn't need to. I waited. Then issued one line through my press contact. A painful, tone-deaf display that erases the real damage others still carry. Not loud. Not bitter. Just razor sharp. The internet did the rest. Headlines called it a dignified strike. One late-night host quoted me, then held 5 full seconds of silence. That silence said more than any monologue ever could. But Layla kept moving. She finished her term. No resignation. No second apology. Didn't need one. Because by then, her name was no longer tied to image or progress. It was tied to a policy. The Harper Rule, created to stop the next version of her. Nobody thanked her for the legacy. They just made sure it couldn't repeat. She tried crawling back. Minor leadership role, brief spotlight, an echo of relevance. But moral authority? That was gone. She'd walk into Senate chambers, and nobody leaned in anymore. Lobbyists stopped sending baskets. Reporters stopped calling. Even the ones who used to fight for sound bites forgot she existed. And me? I ran a marathon in 2019. 3:48, not fast, not heroic, just honest. Every mile felt like rewriting the past without uttering a word. Local journalists asked me for a statement. I gave them this. I'm moving forward. Not revenge. Not rebuttal. Just distance. While I rebuilt my body, she hemorrhaged reputation. That $10,000 she paid back to the Treasury? Everyone saw it for what it was, a gesture, not a reckoning. Not even worthy of footnotes in a real book of damage. Christopher's budget line still raised eyebrows. No charges, no legal fallout, just quiet shame curling through the halls, and voters who simply stopped showing up. Then came years of silence. Until 2022, that's when it leaked, a private message from Layla to another senator dated back in 2018. She called Majority Leader William Thompson a hypocrite, the same man who condemned her publicly on the floor. The leak hit like a delayed punch. Political blogs slapped the quote next to her old apology. People started asking out loud what they'd only dared think. Was her remorse ever real? Or just choreography? She never responded. No press tour. No rebuttal. Just absence. And by 2023, they married. Layla and Christopher. Private ceremony. No cameras. No donors. Just a name buried in a small-town registry. A new chapter, one outlet called it. Sure, a new chapter in a book nobody's reading anymore. Because her last currency, her public image, had rotted into a cautionary tale. She didn't just break a marriage. She broke trust. The kind people loan you once a generation. And when that collapses, it stains every name you're connected to. I saw it in the Senate directory after they updated her bio. The word legacy? Gone. What remained? Harper Rule, established 2018. Ethics section, no photo attached. No applause. Just policy. A warning label. And maybe, just maybe, that hurts more than anything I could have said out loud. Because some endings don't come with fire. They come with a footnote.